when I ended up coming out here down south, the difference was that this is the first time I've experienced racism that, like, when people don't like you.
Wow.
And so it was weird because it was like, all right, I know we're different, but like, and when I experienced it was with my kid. I went to a park, and if you, being a parent, like the feelings that you feel as a parent sometimes wanting to beat up other people's little kids is just a really crazy thing because there's nothing you can do with that. You can be angry, you can feel like you want to say things to the parents, but a lot of times when it comes to your kids, you gotta just sit there. So the situation that happened was, went to the park, took Papa there. He was about 3 years old at the time. And I was on a side of town that I had never been before, and there were a bunch of little white kids playing. And then my kid. In my brain, I'm just like, there's kids. So he's going there playing with them, and they start to kind of like do this weird thing where first it's him and a little white girl playing, and then a little white boy comes and gets the girl and it's like, we going over here. So my son is like, well, I'm gonna follow you because he's a baby. Like, he's not thinking anything of it. So he tries to follow them, they go somewhere else. Then he tries to follow them somewhere else, they go somewhere else. And now at this point, I'm like, I really want to just be like, we just...
Oh, okay.
I ain't get there yet. But at this point, I'm like, let me take my baby, we go somewhere else. But I also am going through that complex of like, I don't want to have to explain to him what was wrong in this moment. So let me just let him get to the point where he don't want to play with them no more. And I'm like, yeah, baby, let's go get some ice cream or let's go. So now, before it can even get there, they literally turn around and say to him, we don't want to play with you. What is wrong with you? And that shit, like...
Now you punch him in the face.
And now I want to punch him in the face. Every single one of them.
That's crazy.
And I just remember like not knowing what to do because I'm also around a bunch of white parents. I'm by myself with my kid. I'm in a place, this is when I first moved to Georgia. And I'm just like, what do I do? Because I don't want to be the crazy black girl that's like, yeah, fuck yeah, like, and so I just remember I took him, and this is back when I used to vlog a lot. And so I just started vlogging about it, like right there in front of all of them. And I was just like, you know, it is really insane that this is happening at this day and age, especially with children. And the fact that parents can't see, like, that are indoctrinating their children with this type of mentality and mindset that you would see a little brown kid and be like repulsed from playing with him. And it still didn't fix it for me because it still was a reminder that you can say all the things, you can feel like people are going to connect with you and be compassionate about things they should, but some people are just hateful and some people are just the way they are. And, you know, you just gotta go your way with something. So that was my dose of Southern racism, and it was gross.
Big ups to you, mama, because I don't think I'd have been so cool with my kid. I could take it all, but the little babies, everybody can get it.
I really wonder what I'm gonna be like as a parent because I don't got a filter now. I mean, and I don't got a filter now, and I just keep to myself because of that. But with my kid, not that I might want to snatch up your child, but I'm gonna want to say something to the parent. I'm gonna want to like have a conversation because not about my kid, like not about my son, but it's also like dangerous. It's literally also dangerous for us to be upset about things, and rightfully so.
And then it's also like, I think when you're, my grandpa gave me this poem when I first had Papa that talked about the fact that your children enter a world of tomorrow that you can't enter. And so it's always been very important for me to realize that my feelings are not always going to resonate with him in his present. So even teaching him, I teach him a lot about who he is, his history. We talk about a lot of Black history stuff. But I'm not going to lie to you, like, my partner is the one who talks to him about racism because I don't know how to talk about it. Like, I don't know how to talk about it without giving him a complex or without, like, making him fearful of his classmates or upset or angry with his classmates. Like, he's had, like, little, I don't even want to call them girlfriends because it's not that, but he's had little crushes on girls that have been all colors. Like, so I don't want to break his spirit in that, but I know as a little Black boy at some point, you know.
Yeah, you gotta understand.
Yeah, so.
It's either you do it or you let the world do it.
And both suck.
Kind of damned if you do it, you're damned if you don't.
Did you guys have a moment where you... Never mind.
You
gotta finish that.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds bad in my head, but okay, whatever. So, I've always known I was black, but like you said earlier, I was raised in a black area. But I didn't know that I was one of those black people.
Which one?
Meaning, I didn't know that I was. I forgot the word in this moment, but I know I was profilable. I thought I was a good black. And so I got pulled over by the cops. And I think to me the biggest surprise was this is happening to me. Because I think in my mind it was like, I know this happens to black boys, but it happens to a specific archetype of a black boy. And I didn't think that I fit that. I think when you grow up in a black area, because there's this like black excellence trope that a lot of us believe in, right? Like when you're in magnet programs, or you're in the good part of the city, or you're blah, 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 you feel like you've kind of like risen above what it means to have to deal with some of the things that you hear black people deal with. But it becomes very interesting when you're like, to your point, I moved to Georgia, I'm in the southern environment, I got my kid, blah, blah. I thought I kind of wasn't going to be in this scenario, but here you are. So it's like nobody's really safe. And so to your point about your child, it's like at what point do you like have a conversation about like, yes, don't rob you of your joy. And you are in you could have money, whatever, that's not going to exempt you from the black experience, which isn't totally negative, but there comes... You know, that makes any sense? I don't know if you guys had an identifiable moment, but I had that at like 19. Like, did you guys have a moment in your life where you were like, dang, like I'm black, like, and this could be a thing for me?
I literally had that moment when I too was handcuffed pulled over for the first time, but also handcuffed. And not pulled over because I was just driving. I will explain. But I was going to a high school prep program. In New York, we have these things called specialized high schools where like there are, I want to say 7 of them or whatever, you got to take a standardized test and they all focus on a specific thing. So I was going to high school prep at Stuyvesant. Stuyvesant is one of the top high schools in New York City. And I'm going there with my little Asian friends and my little white friends, and we're, you know, downtown doing the downtown things, eating our parfaits and drinking our coffees. And I'm doing this for so long that I start to feel like, you know, like I'm a Manhattan girl. Like this is very much. And so one of my friends forgot her Metro card. And so for those who don't know, Metro card was used against the subway. Forgot her Metro card, so we doubled up. I swipe my Metro card, she get behind me, we boop, and we go in. We've done this many a time.
I can't imagine that doesn't happen 5 million times a day in New York.
It does, but you really got to be careful because there are hidden cops, all types of things. Like, so now my mother is a cop, so yeah, this is an interesting story. So we go ahead, we double up, and immediately the cops that were hiding around the corner come and get us. And the first thing I'm thinking is my mother is a cop. Absolutely not. I start running. I'm booking it down.
You took off.
Booking it. Not me. Listen, so I'm running. Then another cop come here. It was like a whole rush hour scene and whatever. So he catches me, and the way that he grabs me and just like throws me against like the gate is like, you made me run. And I just remember in that moment just being like, yo, if I was a little Asian girl, we wouldn't even be doing this. Y'all wouldn't even have, it would have just been a like, come on, man. We know you're in this program because it was a popular program. Like, you didn't need to do all of that. What's going on? Like, why didn't you have your whatever? And the way that they began talking to me, like, they were just like, so a lot of cops use this term perps is what they use to describe everybody for real. And they were just talking to me like, you know, using that language. And I remember just being so scared, and my first defense was, well, my mom is a cop. They was like, oh, word? Call her. The worst thing I could have done. They called my mom. My mom is like, handcuff her. She needs to learn a lesson. And so I'm there. I'm handcuffed in downtown New York in front of all of my friends, my teachers, like, and I'm just standing there and everybody's seeing it and just like shaking their head. And for me, I say that all to say that the racism for me comes from the fact that like my mother being a part of the police department, a lot of times like she's not able to separate how like a little black girl would feel in an experience like this. It's already hard enough, like you just got stopped by the cops, whatever, like you're being handcuffed in front of your friends. It's like, it just felt so stereotypical. But yeah.
You know, they talk about PKs being the preacher's kids, but they don't talk about being a PK, a police officer kid. It's a different world.
I actually just had a conversation with my friend whose dad is retired APD, and we used to live in a duplex. I used to live with her on one side, he used to live on the other side when we were in school, and we lived in the West End, and it was fine because he lived on the other side. But as soon as she left the house, because I think we stayed for like maybe a year and a half after we graduated, he wanted to sell the house. And this is like, imagine having property. Her grandfather bought this house in the West End, and it's theirs. Mm-hmm. The house is worth a lot of money. And so he just wanted to sell it, and he didn't want to be there anymore. He let his son move in, and then my friend moved back in on the other side as well, so now his kids live there. But he wanted to be out of that neighborhood so bad because he didn't want to be around those type of blacks. And she tells me often that she's got to try to bring her daddy back down to earth, but he's always in this space of being just wrapped up into policing. And I think police officers and policing is the issue itself, and really has this weird warped and race ideology that they just can't see past once they go through the academy, I guess.
Because they truly do turn blue. A lot of them do.
Well.
Yeah. How do you guys navigate white spaces today? Like, knowing the things that you know, the things you see on the internet comment sections. Like, how do you?
I'm not gonna hold y'all. It's difficult for me, and you can ask him. Like, I'm skeptical about every white person I see. It's not a white person that I meet that I'm not like. I have to be very observant of, figure them out. And there's more often than not, like, certain behaviors and characteristics that I know either this white person has been around a lot of black people, or they just get it, and I can disarm myself around them. But even I'll just give some examples. Like, his family is very close to, I don't really know how to explain it, and I could be wrong, so just correct me if I do misspeak. But they grew up in South Atlanta, and there were white people who, in my eyes, got in on early on gentrification. They were part of said community, but they were also like very invested in the ministry of that area, and like not using God, but through God, building community. And they had their own like very close family relationships. But for me, someone new to the community with my new eyes, what I see now is a lot of like white savior complex, and pulling in black people into their community that unfortunately kind of fall into that ideology. Like, there's a very specific group of people who run the money, have the funds, build the programming,